Today on The Young and the Restless, Christine updates Danny on her marriage, Nikki forces Victor to come clean, and Kyle gives Audra an answer. At the ranch, Victor takes exception to Nick walking in and demanding things of him. Nick wants to know what's going on. Victor asks, "What the hell are you talking about?" Nick replies, "Not good enough." He tells his father he's figured it out. He pulls out the doodle and declares that he knows exactly what it means. Nick explains that Adam found it in Victor's desk drawer. Although Adam had no idea what it meant, Nick says that he does. "It's from a story, The Serpent of Names. Dad used to read it to me when I was little." Victor claims to have a vague recollection. Nicky remembers it. Nick says he asked Victor to read it to him repeatedly. It was his favorite. "The drawing was for his benefit, you wanted me to find it." Victor mutters about his fertile imagination. Nick thinks it's a cry for help. He knows something is wrong and can't trust Victoria and Adam. He's certain that Victoria wouldn't take advantage, but Adam. Nicky interjects, "For God's sake, Victor, this has to stop." Please tells Nicholas the truth. On Crimson Light's patio, Danny takes Christine in his arms for a hug. She didn't know he was back in town and explains she just got back from Portugal. Danny asks her to sit and she tells him it's really good to see you. Danny says it's good to see her too. He asks, "How's Paul? How was the trip?" Christine cries, "Not good." In Audra's suite, she and Kyle get dressed after sex. He tells her he wants a little business with pleasure. She wonders if he's ready to talk about them running Jabba together. Kyle recalls she asked him to join their alliance. "I'm intrigued, but if I'm going to help you and Tucker take over Jabbat, I'm going to need some more details." He wants to know the timeline, how they expect to accomplish it, where it leaves his parents, and most importantly, how he fits in. Audra says it's Tucker's plan and he's so mad at Ashley, he went back to his original plan. Kyle asks, "What's he thinking?" Audra can't be sure. Tucker is hard to read. Kyle asks why she trusts the guy and why she thinks he should. In the GCHC lobby, Tucker runs into Jack, who returns his listening device to him. He explains that he was tempted to beat him at his own game, but realized he didn't want to stoop to his level. Tucker mutters about him being as righteous as ever. Jack warns whatever he's really up to, he should give it up and go away. Tucker likes being close to his son and his grandson. Jack reminds him they have serious dirt on him that would discredit him in the business world. Tucker shrugs, credibility. Who needs it? Jack questions him about his plans for revenge. A final goodbye to one of Israel's heroes. Diane gawps when she comes down the stairs at the Abbott mansion and Ashley is standing in the living room. Ashley casually says, "Hi, Diane." Diane tells her sister-in-law that Jack didn't mention her coming home. Ashley explains she didn't tell anyone and just hopped on a plane. Diane offers peace for Jack's sake. Ashley notes she saved her life, so she'll try not to hate her. Diane will try not to hate her back. She tells her she's sorry about the way her marriage turned out. Ashley doesn't want to dwell on it, though she'd like to know what he's been up to. "What have you heard? Is he planning something?" Diane assures her they both want to protect Jabbat from whatever Tucker has up his sleeve. At the ranch, Nick asks, "Tell me the truth about what?" Nikki prompts Victor to speak, but he stays silent. Nick gawps, "Has this whole thing been a setup? Have you been putting on an act? Are you kidding me?" He knew there was no way his faculties went down that far that fast. Why would he do this? Victor says, "Because I had to find out who could be trusted." At Crimson Lights, Danny asks Christine what happened on her trip. She would rather hear about him and what brings him back to Genoa City. Danny has a couple of months off to spend more time with Daniel. Chris asks, "And with Phyllis?" Danny notes she sort of comes with the Daniel package. "I know how you feel about her, we both feel that way, but I think she's sincere about wanting to change." Christine reminds him they've all heard that before. She talked a good game of remorse to the judge, but it's not exoneration. Let's not forget that she should have been put away years ago for attempted murder. Danny knows it's hard for her to give Phyllis a break, it's hard for him too, but maybe this is the one time to try. Christine tells Danny it's unbelievable that Phyllis can have him brainwashed after all this time. Danny protests that he's just saying some second chances are warranted. Christine scoffs. She doesn't want to talk about Phyllis. Danny asks about her trip again, Christine feels there must be other topics and asks about her godson and Omavisphere. Danny won't be dissuaded. Come on. Talk to me. Chris says she went to see Paul in Portugal as they hadn't seen each other in months. They had been going through some problems, none of which she thought were huge or insurmountable, but as soon as he retired their issues were magnified. We had such differences of opinion. She thought they'd figure things out after she gave him some space. He crossed an ocean to get away from me. When he reached out to ask her to come and discuss their future, she took it as a positive sign. At first it was great and he was fun, but they didn't talk about their problems. For a minute it felt like the good old days. Sadly, it didn't last because eventually they had to talk about their conflicts. She tears up. We talked and we talked, and we tried to figure out if there was any hope for us, or for our marriage. Danny asks, and Christine cries and shakes her head. There's not. At the Abbott house, Ashley asks Diane if there's anything specific she should know about what Tucker is planning. She tells her about the dirt Billy got on him, and Ashley says she already knew about it. Diane explains they tried to use it to get him out of town, but he's still there. Billy wants to take the information public to discredit Tucker and ruin his reputation. Ashley chuckles. Tucker won't care about what people think. She needs to talk to Jack and Billy right now. At the GDAC, Jack informs Tucker that they're done and he's going to pretend he doesn't exist. Tucker warns if he does that, he'll never see him coming. Just then, Jack gets a text from Ashley saying she's back at the house and needs to talk. Jack smirks and tells Tucker their conversation is over. In her suite, Audra tells Kyle that she knows Tucker better than almost anyone else. Kyle knows they go way back and asks how close they actually are. Has it ever been sexual? He wonders. Audra asks, would it bother you if I said yes? Kyle thinks she seems too strong and independent to be seduced by McCall. Audra counters, maybe I seduced him. Kyle asks why she'd want that kind of involvement with such a volatile man. Audra can control Tucker, and as far as I'm concerned, he's just a means to an end. She asks, so Kyle, are you in? Jack arrives at the manse and greets Ashley with a hug. Billy follows him in and does the same. That husband of yours is an idiot, he declares. Ashley doesn't need them rubbing her nose in it. She wants to focus on what Tucker's up to and what they're going to do to stop it. Billy cheers, yes. The band is back together. Jack doesn't think McCall has the ammo for a big attack. Billy agrees. Ashley warns it's not smart to underestimate her estranged spouse. Diane pipes up, Ashley's right. Billy and Jack look at her in surprise. Ashley shares that Tucker reached out to her a couple of times. She could use that to her advantage. Jack doesn't like where this is heading at all. In Audra's suite, Kyle nuzzles her neck and they kiss. She asks, so, does that mean you're in? Kyle says he's totally and completely in. He's tired of being treated like Jabot isn't his birthright and is going to take control of his future by helping her and Tucker take control of Jabot. With that, he lays Audra on the bed and leans over to kiss her. At the ranch, Victor tells Nick he needs to trust that he knows what he's doing. Nick has no problem with a plan that exposes Adam, but he can't let his dad keep doing this to Victoria. It's cruel. Nicky agrees. Victor complains about her exposing his plan before he was ready. Nick argues that he clearly wanted him to figure it out. Victor says, and you did. Nick realizes it's more than just Adam his dad is worried about. Victor tells Nick he has faith in him. Now that you know the truth, I'm counting on you. Nick complains, you used me. You stressed me out and let me worry about you night and day. And now you want me to be your ally? You've got to be kidding me. Nick theorizes that if Victor needs his help to sell his mental state to Victoria, Nate, and Adam, that means he doesn't trust his sister. Victor reminds him how furious she was when he demoted her. Nick agrees that Victoria likes to be in charge, but he has no doubt about her loyalty to the family or to him. She needs to know the truth, Dad. Victor argues that it's too soon. I need to know who I can trust. At Crimson Lights, Danny feels he's missing something. Pris admits she gave him the short version. After she and Paul spent some time in Portugal, they took a trip. You get to know people better when you travel, and they were going to get to know each other again, using the good times as a backdrop to figure out what went wrong. Danny muses, it sounds like a good plan. Christine says it backfired and made it very obvious that the distance between them had grown to where there was no way back. We just don't work together anymore. We both saw it so clearly. It wasn't about us growing apart, it was about Paul pulling away. He's just not in love with me anymore. Danny takes Christine's hand. I'm so sorry, Chris. You know I love you both. You and Paul. He hates to see her like this, and asks if she's positive there's no hope. Christine is positive it's over. There's something about the conviction that almost brings her a sense of peace. He asks, what happens now? She'll have to figure it out. Danny soothes, and you will. At the Abbott house, Jack can't believe that Ashley is entertaining the idea of faking a reconciliation with Tucker to find out what he's really up to. Ashley shrugs that it worked before. Jack is concerned and cannot let her do this. Ashley sniffs. It's a good thing I don't need your permission. Kyle comes in and greets Ashley, asking her how she's doing after everything that's happened. He guesses they've been discussing Tucker. Jack asks where Kyle has been. Harrison is ready for his bedtime story. Kyle says he was with Audra. Jack thinks he could do better. Kyle snaps, have you learned nothing about judging other people's choices in partners? Ashley tells him Audra and Tucker are very close. Diane chimes in, we just want what's best for you, Kyle. Ashley asks Kyle if he's considered the possibility that his lover is using him. At the ranch, Victor makes it clear to Nick that Adam is not the only threat. I cannot rely on Victoria not telling and not alerting mate. Nick warns if Victoria finds out about this on her own, she will never forgive him. Tucker arrives in Audra's suite and asks, how goes the conquest? Audra doesn't need him breathing down her neck. Tucker chuckles that sometimes she likes him breathing down her neck. Audra says Kyle is on board. Tucker knows how persuasive she can be. Audra asks, so, what's next? Tucker replies, we find out if we can trust him.